Hey there everyone, SQ here, and today we're going to be going over the basics for Ram's Oki. We're going to be talking about Midscreen Oki, we're going to be talking about corner Oki, we're going to be talking about just everything that people really need to know, because I get a lot of questions about this. Even though Ram doesn't have that interesting of Oki, there aren't like that many things to talk about, I still think it's worthwhile to just kind of break down the small nuances behind some of the decisions you would be making on Oki. Before we get into the video, I just want to mention if you do enjoy it, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out and you'll know when I upload future videos. And also consider dropping a like and letting me know what you think about the video down in the comments below. That said, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to bring to your attention in this video is that one of the most common things I get asked is, what do I do off of all of Ram's different knockdowns? She has a lot of different things that can give her a knockdown. You know, you have stuff like throw, you have Rekka Ender, which can give you a knockdown. Just like this. You have 2D that can obviously give you a knockdown. You have J214S, which gives you a knockdown now. A lot of people always ask, what do you do off of all of these different knockdowns? And something to keep in mind for this video is that I do pretty much the same thing regardless of what the knockdown is. It doesn't matter what move you knock them down with. Everything we're going to be talking about pretty much applies to any knockdown you get, for the most part. So just keep that in mind when you're watching this video, because I'm not going to be going over specific knockdowns exactly. We're just going to be talking about general knockdown information that you'll want to know. The next thing I want to talk about is the idea of safe jumps, because I personally don't actually go for safe jumps very much, and there's two main reasons why I don't do that. The first one is that, as far as I know, with my current understanding, there aren't very many auto-timed safe jump setups that you can go for. Almost all of them require you to do some amount of like manual timing for a safe jump. You can do them, but you will have to manually time them to some degree. And for me personally, I don't like doing that because I don't like the idea of messing up my timing and getting hit by a reversal. Especially something like a super in this game, which can do like half of your life sometimes. So it's kind of just a personal thing that I don't really go for them. But I do want to mention that they're possible. Almost any hard knockdown you get, you can do a safe jump. You're just going to have to manually time it yourself. The other reason that I don't go for safe jumps is because if they block the safe jump, specifically if they do something like FD a safe jump, you'll notice that, if I don't mess it up, you'll notice that they get pushed really far away. And I don't really like this situation for pressure. Again, this is kind of a personal thing. Some people will be more okay with this. But I don't really like the spacing that I'm left at after a safe jump, so that's the other reason that I don't go for them. I just wanted to mention that you can go for them if that's your thing, but not going to be really talking about them in this video. Okay, so for the things that we're actually going to be talking about is, as far as Midscreen goes, there's not a lot of different things to talk about, but I want to talk about the main normals you'll be using to meaty your opponent and why you use them. Because this is something that I get asked about a lot as well. So the most common one, I guess I'll just list the three we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Close Slash, 5P, and 2K. Those are the three most important normals when it comes to meeting your opponent. The most common one you'll see is probably Close Slash. And that's because, quite frankly, it has the best options if your opponent blocks it, and it's the most rewarding if they get hit by it. Now, the reason that Close Slash is good is because on block you have very good cancel options. From Close Slash you can just do delay 2S as a frame trap, or you can do 2S as a true block string if you want to. And this is important because 2S is a low. The reason having a low is important is because as a low you can use it to punish your opponent for trying to do something like mash throw, trying to backdash, trying to input a reversal, without actually letting them out of block stun, so you don't actually have to necessarily interact with the option that they're trying to choose. If Kai is trying to DP after my Close Slash, or trying to input a super or something, he might get hit by the low input while he's trying to input his reversal. Same for backdash, same for throw. You can also just delay it like I was saying, which will be a frame trap. And the cancel window on Close Slash is so big that you can delay it as long as you really want to, so you can call out different defensive timings that the opponent might want to try representing, right? If they're mashing immediately, you can just add a very slight delay and it'll hit them. So we're just going to do Close Slash, delay 2S, and he's going to get hit for it. And we can delay that as long as we want to, because the cancel window is basically until the move is over. So it's a very good frame trap option after Close Slash, and that's one of the main reasons why you use Close Slash to meaty. And after the 2S, you still have another Gatling. You have 5H. Right? If they get hit by 5H, they're going to explode. So because you have these Gatlings, even though they're not like, you know, anything super fancy or whatever, it lets you play a very basic but strong strike throw type pressure. Once you get people to start respecting your Close Slash, you can start going for a Close Slash dash up throw. Or you can start going for Close Slash dash up Close Slash, right? Close Slash is just really good because you have all these different options on block. And if they end up getting hit by any of these, it can be very rewarding depending on what you cancel into. For example, if someone gets counter hit by Close Slash, you can very easily confirm into 2H for a lot of damage. So it's just a combination of very good cancel options. The frame data on it is pretty decent. Yeah, that's pretty much why you would use Close Slash as your meaty. It just has good cancel options. Very rewarding if it hits them. It's nothing fancy, but it's good. As for 5P, this is the one that I get asked the most about. Why do I do meaty 5P all the time? There are two primary reasons that I do 5P as my meaty. And the first one is that it's actually very good against some of the more common defensive options in this game. So one of the more common defensive options that people have been representing nowadays is Wake Up Gold Burst, or even just like a delayed blue burst on Wake Up. Just burst in general, really. Because a lot of combos in this game are hard to burst or risky to burst. It's very easy for your burst to just whiff or for it to get heart baited. Some people have started to resort to bursting on Wake Up or bursting in block stun. And something that's very nice about meaty 5P is that it will block gold bursts in time. If I do something like meaty Close Slash, it does not recover in time to block the gold burst. It won't recover in time to block boo burst even. This also goes for YRC. So if we set the opponent to block and then do a YRC, just like this, you'll see that you recover in time to block the YRC with a 5P. This does not apply to Close Slash. If I press Close Slash and actually time my meaty, and I'm not a noob, I do not recover in time to block the YRC. So that's the first reason why I'll use 5P. I don't use it all the time. Generally, I'll use Close Slash, but there are times where I'll represent 5P because it does well against these defensive options. You know, if I bait a YRC this way, you can get a full counter hit punish and oftentimes just win the round from how much damage you can get from it. The other reason that I use it, that I use 5P, that is because that 5P is a faster button than Close Slash in general. Some people will get so focused on seeing Close Slash that they won't be able to react in time to you doing something like 5P dash up throw. Because 5P is such a faster normal, they're not going to be ready for something like this. So it's more so about throwing off your opponent's, I guess, anticipation and throwing off their reaction and taking advantage of that with something like 5P. Even though 5P doesn't have great Gatling options, something I'll do sometimes is I'll do 5P into 2K. Just like this. This isn't actually a real cancel. This is just me doing 5P, recovering, and then hitting 2K. This will hit a lot of people for reacting to 5P late, and they'll try to like jump or they'll try to mash or something. It's just timed really well that if people aren't really expecting it, it'll catch a lot of people off guard. And you can even do more than just one 5P. You can do something like 5P, delay 5P again, just to throw people's timings off. And you do have one legitimate Gatling from 5P, which is important, which is 6P. So if you do something like 5P, delay 6P, so if Kai mashes here, it's actually a frame trap. And you can delay this as much as you want to, pretty much. And on counter hit, you can easily confirm into Rekka for a hard knockdown. Or if you're near the corner, something like this, you can do Sword Toss and get a full combo. So even though 5P isn't quite as good as Close Slash, generally you're going to want to use Close Slash most of the time. Because it's good against Burst, because it's good against YRC, and because it can throw off your opponent's timing, I think it's very important to represent it sometimes. Once you have an understanding of how people like to respond to certain situations, 5P can be very good to throw in the mix. The other option is 2K, which pretty much falls under the same rule as 5P. It's safe versus Gold Burst, it's safe versus YRC. The main reason you would use 2K is that the frame trap afterwards is more rewarding, because you can do 2K, delay 2D. If people get hit by this, they will actually lose the game pretty much. Like, look how much damage this does. That was 250 damage, right? Just from a 2k delay 2D frame trap. Now you can't do 2k 2k like you could with like 5p 5p, just like this. And it's not quite as fast as 5p, it's a little bit harder to represent a throw after it. It's just the fact that the frame trap after can be so rewarding, it can be scarier for the opponent anyways. So those are the three main options for mid-screen Oki, and these all can apply to the corner as well. If you don't want to worry about like learning other types of Oki quite yet, you just want like one set of options to worry about for now, you can do all this stuff for corner Oki as well, so keep that in mind. With that said, we can actually start talking about corner Oki now. And when it comes to the corner, there's one specific thing that you're usually trying to get when it comes to corner Oki, and that is going to be meaty sword toss, just like this. Now, the reason that this is so important is that, for one, it allows you to meaty the opponent with something that's not committal for the most part. Some reversals will hit you, I'll talk about reversals in a minute, but you don't have to deal with people doing something like backdash, you don't have to deal with YRC or gold burst anymore, because the sword is going to meaty for you, right? It's doing all of that for you, it's non-committal. Actually, let me just show, for example. If I do something like this, I can just sit here, right? I could just sit there, let the sword explode, and then run in and pressure my opponent. If they want to backdash or something, it's not going to help them. The sword will cover everything for me. And the other thing that's very nice about this is if we set the dummy to jump, normally the dummy, or normally people, can jump out of the sword explosion, right? If you actually meaty them with the sword properly, it can't jump out of it, because it's essentially has more frame advantage because it's hitting later than it would normally, which means that there's even less that you have to think about, right? I can just do this, and my opponent's going to have to respect it. I can dash in and start my pressure that way. So how do you accomplish getting sword Oki? Well, the most common way is what I was just showing, where you get like a knockdown, and then you OTG them with close slash, and then do a delayed 236H. You do have to manually time this, but it's pretty forgiving. It's not very specific at all. Like, I can just kind of, I usually just eyeball it. I make it up every time I do it. And generally, as long as it's kind of meaty, it'll be good enough. It's not very specific. There are other ways you can do it as well. Pretty much any knockdown will allow you to meaty them with sword. So if I'll show that with just like some standard Rekka ender. So if you do something like this, you can either OTG them into the sword toss and do it that way if you want to, or you can just like time it as they get up. You know, there's different ways you can go about it. It depends on like what you actually want to do. For the most part, I'll usually OTG them into it because I just find that to be the easiest to time. And you can also OTG them with any move. It doesn't have to be close slash, and I want to point that out as well. You can OTG them with 2S and do the same thing. You can OTG them with 5H and do the same thing. And there are actually some advantages to using the different normal. So, for example, one thing that 2S lets you do is it lets you OTG them from further away. So if I get a throw like here, I can just do this as a meaty, right? I mistimed it, but you get the idea, right? If I just time this correctly and I'm not a noob, you'll actually be able to just meaty them with the sword like this. From even further away, you don't have to be in the corner to do that. That's one advantage to 2S. And then an advantage to 5H is it actually puts you further away. So this is close slash, right? That's a close slash OTG. And this is 5H OTG. I'm a little bit further away than I am with close slash. And the reason this is important is for reversals. So that will hit me, right? His DP will actually hit Ram's extended hand and will counter her out of the sword toss. If we use 5H, that will not happen. So 5H has an advantage that it will help you be safe against some reversals. Obviously, there are some reversals that hit far enough that they'll hit you regardless of how far back you are. So you have to keep that in mind, but there are some reversals that 5H will let you stay out of range. And you won't get hit by them. And you can fairly easily convert off of this Oki. If they just get hit by the sword, or if they reversal or whatever, it's a very easy to convert. You don't really have to think about it, you can just react. There's some other ways to do this too, like something I'll do very often is I will just kind of cut a combo early and just let them hit the ground and then meaty sword toss them from it. So I'll do something like I'll do something like this, just for an example. I'll just end with Rekka 1, and then I'll just time my meaty just like that. So really, there's a lot of different ways to go about this, but this is really what you're trying to accomplish regardless of how you go about it. If you're wondering if you can do this off of soft knockdowns, like a very common one is just doing it like this, you can do it like that as well. So it's generally just very applicable. As long as you can get a knockdown in the corner, you can probably do meaty sword. The question more so is, does my opponent have a reversal? Am I far enough away to bait the reversal? Those are the type of things you have to ask. But if none of those are an issue, you pretty much always want to meaty this way. Because again, if we go back to like the YRC example, like I was talking about, meeting the opponent with something else can be problematic because they can, you know, just YRC you. Like if I meaty with close slash, they can YRC me, right? The advantage to meeting with a sword toss like this is they can't YRC, right? You don't have to worry about that. You also don't have to worry about Gold Burst. So if we set Kai to do Gold Burst real quick, you recover in time and the sword will punish their Gold Burst for you. So that's pretty much what you're looking for in the corner. Again, you can just meaty the normal way. If you do, you know, want to run up and meaty with close slash or whatever, you can. If you don't want to like get too confused, you don't want to add too many options that you have to think about, you can just meaty, you know, with close slash or whatever. But ideally, you start going for meaty sword off pretty much any situation that you can think of, because it just really limits their option sets and just makes things easier on you. One last little thing you can do for your corner Oki that I like to do quite a bit is sometimes people get so focused on you doing meaty sword that you can throw them off by not actually throwing the sword and just dashing in their face. This is something that I do a decent amount because I feel like it just catches so many people off guard. But you get them so focused on you doing the same Oki all the time that you can get away with something like this. That's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Again, there isn't like a whole lot to it, but I think there's some nuances that are worth knowing. And I do want to mention that this is kind of an extension to the pressure guide that I did previously. If you haven't watched that, I highly suggest going to watch it. I'll link it in the video right now, and it'll be in the description below. It goes over a lot of other pressure concepts that kind of go hand in hand with what we talked about in this video. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask me down in the comments below. You can hit me up on Twitter, or you can hop in my Twitch chat. I do stream over on twitch.tv/swirl147 quite frequently, and I love answering questions. If you want to ask me anything, or if you just want to hang out, come drop by. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope it helped out. I'll see you in the next one.